we have finished. And in the verse number 25, what does Bhagavan explain? He's telling us that, whichever way you try to approach me, whether you take a bus at Puri or at Digha or at Calcutta, wherever. Calcutta means slightly away on the sea beach. End of the day, you are taking a dip in the Bay of Bengal or in the Indian Ocean. If you know this, then if you had a certain sankalpa, an aspiration that you want to take a dip in the Bay of Bengal, that is fulfilled. But if you haven't that knowledge, then you are stuck with an incomplete experience and you have a sense of dissatisfaction. You do not have a comprehensive understanding of what you have achieved. So, if you are looking at other deities, other devatas, and the karmas and upasanas, if you are able to see all of these as leading to me and you are surrendered to me, then depending on the nature of your upasana, you are definitely reaching me and you are getting dissolved in me, you are becoming non different from me, you are becoming one and the same as me. Okay, if you are one of the Vaishnava Parampara followers, then you talk about Golaka, whichever way you want to look at it, you are coming to me, Bhagavan is saying. However, if you do not see all these gods and goddesses as aspects of me, that all your upasanas and kriyas and karmas, whatever you do, are ultimately offered to me. If you do not have that understanding or orientation, then the results will become limited, and accordingly, either you'll go to Pitraloka or Devaloka or wherever you are, sort of orienting your upasana at, wherever you are sort of fixing your vision at, you go there and you are there for a while. As soon as this punya karma becomes less, okay, when they become less, then you come back again, because that is what he has already explained, that once that punya karma becomes less, these people come back, because there is no, because I mean, there is no other way. So you go, and then he has said, Tetang bhuktva lokam vishalam, chini punya martya lokam vishanti. You come back to the martya loka. And then again, the unending cycle of birth and death will chase you, and you are trapped. On the other hand, the one who sort of is surrendered to me and is having that understanding that there is nothing which exists without me, because I'm Sarva Vyapaka, Sarva Vyapi, then he's fortunate. Now, if you have that sort of a particular devotional approach to me, right? Aham hi sarva yajnanam bhukta cha prabhureva cha. I am the person. I am the adhiyajna. I am the aradhya. I'm everything that you are engaging in, because I'm Brahman. I'm everywhere. Na tu mam abhijananti tatvena ataha chyavanti te, because they don't know this particular secret and therefore they fall down. That means the amount of upasana, the hard work which the upasakas, saguna upasakas, and sakama upasakas, remember sakama, because of a limited understanding, they do all that. They fall down to earth again and they have birth and death. But the ones who are niskama upasakas, and they know that they're doing it in order to free their consciousness from the limitations of birth and death, they sort of, reach me. And therefore, he says in the verse number 25, Yanti Deva Vrata Devan Pitrin Yanti Pitri Vrataha Bhutani Yanti Bhutejya. Others, those who are sort of worshippers of the spirits and the Tantra methods and other things, Madhyaji no Pimam, and the ones who are sort of meditating on me, they come to me. They get that, Brahma Sakshatkara Rupa Anubhava, Apuroksha Anubhava. And therefore, he is now glorifying that parabhakti, that ultimate surrender to the God, divine grace. There's a beautiful book, very short one. Those of you want to pick it up, it's called The Mother by Sri Aurobindo. And there he sets down a few conditions for spiritual transformation. One he mentions is the rejection of falsehood, complete rejection of falsehood. Then he mentions a strong aspiration to attain divinity, to be with the divinity, strong aspiration for ascension. So you surrender to the divinity, then you have a complete rejection of falsehood. And then finally, the third one is very important. He mentions is grace. So you require the divine grace. Without the benefit of divine grace, your ascension is not stable. That's what Bhagavan also mentions here. And therefore, he glorifies bhakti in the verse number 26. Here, you know that in our cultural context, we had adhikara or different, your qualifications. For example, Vedanta Shravana, you must be, Samadhamadi Sadhana Chatushtaya Sampanna. You must have qualified. You must have those eligibility. And there are a certain social qualifications in our typical socio-historical context. So certain people were given a privileged position with regard to, let's say, certain aradhanas and pujas and stuff like that, isn't it? We had a caste system in the past. I mean, you still have it nominally, but it's not anymore relevant. But Bhagavan, if you look at it, is a complete refutation of any attention to these social privileges or so-called adhikaras as mentioned in the Shastra. Bhagavan here is clarifying the ultimate qualification for me to offer anything to me and get my grace has nothing to do with your caste or anything. It has everything to do with the depth of your devotion. To my mind, it's a very big takeaway point from here. Pay attention to this verse. What does he say here? Patram pushpam phalam toyam yo me bhaktya prayachati tadaham bhakyuh prahatam asnami prayatatmanaha. Patram pushpam phalam toyam. Whatever you offer to me. It could be few leaves like bay leaves they offer to Lord Shiva, or you can give me some flowers, or you can give me some fruits, or nothing. You're just taking a bath in the Ganges or wherever you are, you just offer your water. Yo me vatya prayachati. Yachati means actually dan dhatu. There is a yach adesa there in Lat Lakara, yachati. So prayachati prakarshana yachati. Who gives it with a complete dedication. But this particular giving is sanctified, qualified, tempered with a great quality. That guna is a bhakti. It must be backed by devotion. If it's just given like that, I don't look at it. But it is given by my devotee with his total devotion, even if it's a couple of leaves, even if it is a bunch of flowers, some food, or even just water, it's very dear to me, Bhagavan says. And there are a number of stories before we go to the details. You know that once Sita ji, there was a particular day where he was supposed to give the Shraddha for the Pitri Purushas. And Rama and Lakshmana sort of had gone out to pick up some food and fruits and bring back. And that particular Lagna period for Sadham was going, she was losing it. Okay, the time was elapsing. What she did was, she said, "Oh, forefathers, forgive me. Now this is a beautiful thing. You see, that is there is in theological studies something called structure and anti-structure. Little academic, I'm just mentioning it. So you have a certain prescriptions as to what is the standard practice, and these standard injunctions of the Dharma Shastras, those who have a lot to do with how to maintain the theological status quo, the order of things. Like you have rule books in every government or company, then there are certain supreme principles or certain principles of real devotion, real offering, which in a way transgress these laws. They break these laws. What is the thing? Can the wife give Pindadanam? No, it's supposed to be a son. But what Ramayana says, Sita picked up certain sand balls with water. She made some sand balls on the banks of Sarayu, and she offered that as Pinda to the Pitri Purushas. And they were very happy and they received it. When Rama and Lakshmana come back and they say, Ma Sita, what have you done? We are going to start Shraddhas. He said, I have already given Pinda. What did you give? I gave sandballs. What is the purpose of these things? Can the Pitris actually accept sandballs as food? No, they cannot. But then what happened to the sandballs? What does it symbolize? What is the whole story here is that what exactly you are offering is not important. What is the associated emotion in you? What kind of subjective or psychological experience you are passing through when you are committing that act? The emphasis is on your emotional, spiritual experience, the subjective aspect, the subjectivity as they call it, psychology or in philosophy. That defines what result you are going to get. So you might offer very precious foods and dry foods and cream and milk and other things on plates and cups and bowls made of silver and gold. But if there is no devotion in you, it is not very fruitful. It pleases no one. That is the hint here. So Bhagavan says, whether you're offering me fruits or leaves or flower or just water, I'm very happy with it, provided it's offered to me with a lot of devotion. So that is the greatest qualification, which is going to define how much you're going to benefit out of it. That's what he mentioned in the first half. What does he say in second half of the sentence? Tadaham bhakti upahritam. Bhaktya upahritam. Upahritam means what? Whatever has been given to me is upahara. Whatever has been gifted to me, offered to me. But offered to me how? Bhaktya. So bhakti word is coming here twice, isn't it? So, bhaktya prayachati, the devotee who gives it to me with devotion. That is number one. Number two, whatever is offered to me with devotion, bhakti, bhaktya word comes twice, and there is a bit of significance attached to it. Then he says, tad aham asnami, I eat it. Asnami means I consume it, I accept it. Asnami, prayatatmanaha, I accept it, I received it, I consume it from the hands of the guy who is doing this prayatna, who is doing this perseverance in his devotion to me. That is what he's saying. Now, the question is, does God eat? If he eats, will he eat leaves, flowers? Okay, let's imagine that he eats fruits and leaves and flowers and water. Let's just imagine for a while. What are all these? Bhagavan has just mentioned earlier that whatever Abrahma Bhuvanar Lokaha Punaravartino Guna, and they are all created out of me, Para and Apara Prakriti. So can you find a fruit or a piece of bay leaf or any flower or water of whose the cause, the material cause is not Brahman? No. How can you offer anything to God? This question will come to your mind. भगवान से क्या देना है सब तो उनका है lot of people don't give anything to भगवान and they say that सब उनका है उनको क्या देना है खाओ पियो मस्त रहो is that fine also because it's a very logical question isn't it that everything belongs to God what to give it to him okay these are simple questions but they have profound significance if you are looking for the answer we will look at Shankara Bhashya but before we get into it just think about it like this. Just imagine that a mother is sitting and there is her birthday and her child wants to gift something to the mother but she doesn't have anything. So she goes to the mother's cupboard and picks up a sari out of that cupboard or a dress which actually belongs to the mom and it's mom's dress is folded and kept and the baby pulls it out and goes to the mother and says happy birthday to you mama. What does the mom do? She's very happy with her child that my child remembers this is my birthday and has picked up a sari of mine and is giving back to me. Or the mother has given something to the child like a chocolate. And the child did not eat that chocolate because the child remembered that tomorrow is mother's birthday. So the baby hides that chocolate in the refrigerator. The next day, the baby packs that chocolate in a wrapper and writes happy birthday to you and gives it to back to mother. This chocolate was purchased by the mother. The child gives it the mother. What does it symbolize? The mother, does she ask philosophical questions? This chocolate belongs to me. Why are you giving it to me? Give something. A gift has to be yours, not mine. No, the mother is extremely happy. She is overjoyed that my baby is remembering my birthday. So if you offer anything to God, you know that you are also God's. Whatever you do, grace of God. Whatever you offer, grace of God. Even then, when you're doing it, you are actually making it evident to the Lord that you are remembering God, that you are surrendering to Him. That itself pleases Him. Like the mother smiles, God smiles at you. Not because of what you offer, but because how much you are remembering Him and you are expressing your love, and it's that feeling, your gratefulness, your thankfulness to the Lord for having given you a chance, for having given us a chance to remember Him. It's because the animals cannot remember God, the trees cannot remember God. We don't know what is there in their consciousness. But as human beings, we are more privileged, and this is a grace of God. And by showing love for God, God will smile at us because He knows this child of mine, despite all his insufficiencies and frailties and different kinds of attachments and ignorances or whatever you call it, he is able to remember me and is able to express his or her love for me. That itself is a great thing. That is what Bhagavan is saying. Therefore, you just try to offer it, and if you offer it, whatever you offer, I accept it. I consume it. Why is he saying I consume it? And that we will look at the commentary. So let's get into that part of the story. So what he says is Shankaracharya, na kavalam mat bhaktanam अनावृत्ति लक्ष्यणम अनंत फलम सुखाराधना अहम कथम पत्रम पुष्पम फलम तोयम उदकम यो मे मह्यम भक्त्या प्रयच्छति तद अहम पत्रादि भक्त्या उपहृतम भक्तिपूर्वकम प्रापितम भक्ति उपहृतम असनामि गृह्णामि प्रयतात्मनः शुद्ध बुद्धेः. So he's saying that whosoever, okay, those who do a lot of meditation, Vedanta Chintana, that benefit them. I give them Atma Jnana. That's not the whole story. I have enough love for all. I have already mentioned I have four kinds of devotees: Artha, Arthati, Jikyasu, and Jnani. Jnani is very close to me because he is no different from me. He's all the time thinking about me, and I do yoga kemam vahamiham because he is not interested in anything, so I have to take care of him. That is fine. But others are also my children. I love them as much, and I recognize their love for me, and therefore he's saying Ananda Phalam Sukharadhana Aradhanaha Cha Aham Katham Patram Pushpam. You can actually do Aradhana of me without much effort. Sukha Purvaka. Very easily you can do it. But what is the most difficult thing is surrender to God. It's extremely difficult. So Bhagavan says it's very easy to get me. And he has already mentioned that I'm Sullava, Durlava for others. Sullava for what? Who? The people who are surrendered to me, Nitya Yuktaha. Those kind of people I'm Sullava. So he keeps telling that. And here also he's saying, if you don't have devotion in me, whatever you do, it's very hard to please me. And you will have abriti phala. That means again birth and death. Because you don't recognize me. You don't recognize because of me everything that is happening is happening. But once you turn your attention to me and you have that surrender, which is very difficult to experience, complete surrender. Then even if you give, and there are so many stories in Puranas. You know the story about that Savari, right? When Rama and Lakshmana were going, there was this forest woman who meets Ram and she wants to feed him, but she's giving him some fruits, but she wants to test which one is sweet, which one is tasty, and she's giving or uchista, leftover food. She tests it and she gives it back, and Lakshman is very angry, but Ram is so happy. You think she's my great devotee. You do not know she's like my mother. Like a mother tests if she cooks something for a baby, the baby is not well, the baby has fever, the mother tries to test it, whether it's something which is easily eatable. Will the baby like it? Then the mother gives it to the baby. Similarly, the Sabari is treating Lord Ram as a baby. And Bhagavan, the way when the mother feeds, does the baby ask any question whether this is good cream and this kind of baby food which is given? The baby is just desperately waiting for the mother to give it some food. When that food is offered, the baby is very happy, he opens his mouth, he doesn't ask any questions. So Bhagavan here is kind of saying, once you become a devotee, I also become like a child with you. I'm full of love for you. You come to me, I have no questions. I have only love for you. But can you establish that sort of a deep, affectionate relationship with God that is which is there, which was experienced by the great devotees like say Thakur Ramakrishna Paramahamsa or Tulsi Das, and there were several other such great devotees, you know, and there are so many such devotees, and there are innumerable stories there. Um, and I had heard one story that's so endless that you can go on talking about it. But one from Bihar, there was a story that there was a Chaturmasya, so the guru had to go for Chaturmasya, and he gave some dal and chawal and a bit of ghee and wood to his brahmachari, who was a very small boy, very uneducated, who was a farmer's son. He said, "This temple is in charge of you, and you have to take care of the Divine Mother." And the Devi was sitting there, and he's saying, "You make some khichdi and feed her. She's going to eat." "How do I do puja? I don't know in Sanskrit." He said, "No, you don't bother about Sanskrit. You just cook some khichdi and place it before her. She will take it." "Are you sure, sir?" "Yes." And then this great Sanskrit scholar Pandit, he goes off. So when he tries to cross over Ganga, there's a huge flood, so he cannot go to the other side. So he cancels his Chaturmasya program and he comes back, and he finds that a lot of rice and dal has been exhausted in just 4 or 5 days. And he asks this boy, "Where did you keep this dal and rice? Where did it go?" The boy says that mother asks for more, so I cook a lot and I give it to her and she starts eating. And the Pandit kind of is aghast. He's saying, "You're lying to me. And this stone deity, she's going to eat all this. It's supposed to be puja, that's all. So you can do half a kilo of maximum, 250 grams of rice and a bit of dal. That's all you have to offer. And consume it yourself. You're a small boy of 10, 12 years of age." The boy says, "No, she asks for a lot. I have to cook 3, 4 times a day." And he says, "Okay." And first he tries to slap the boy once or twice, but he relents. He wants to find out what the boy is saying. So he says, "Okay, you cook." And he cooks a lot of khichdi, puts a lot of ghee in it and good also, and he puts it before mother. And he closes the door. He enters, and the Panditji is standing outside, and the boy is saying in tears, "Mama, you have been eating this khichdi every day, and you have been asking me for more and more khichdi, isn't it? And I've cooked twice, thrice every day for you. But today, if you don't eat, this Pandit is going to beat me up, thinking that I'm a thief, I'm cooking khichdi, I'm giving it to somebody, or I'm giving it back to my family or something. So if you don't eat, I'm going to hit you with this stick which I have in my hand, because I don't want to be embarrassed before this Pandit who has come back." And the boy is very angry and he's crying. The mother doesn't say anything. And the boy then says, "Yeah, I will cook again. Don't worry. You go on eating." "No, no, I'm happy. You eat." And the boy sort of falls asleep. Then the Pandit thought, what happened? He opens the door. He finds that the boy is lying on the floor, senseless, and the kadai is empty. All the khichdi has vanished, and some khichdi is kind of, he finds that the khichdi is on the face of that Devi. Then the Pandit sort of breaks down, he cries, and he says, Mother, I've been worshipping you for some 30, 40 years, but you gave your darshan to this little boy, but you never gave darshan to me. And I know my mistake because I saw you as a piece of stone, but the boy saw you as divine mother. So he deserved your darshan, not me. Therefore, this Pandit hands over that temple to that boy, saying, You are the Mandaleshwar of this temple. And he takes sannyas and he vanishes into the Himalayas. That's one of the stories I've heard from North India. It's a very beautiful story. The purpose of the story is that whether you know Sanskrit, whether you're born in a very Kulean Brahmin family, or your grandfather was a great scholar, these are meaningless before God. What is meaningful? Do you have devotion for Him? That is what He says is the only qualification He looks at when He decides to either accept your offering or reject your offering. And this is a very powerful message which is being given in this verse. So he says, Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam Yome Bhaktya Prayachati. Whosoever gives it to me out of devotion, Tadaham Bhakti Upahritam Asnami Prayatatmanaha. So Shankaracharya says that Tad Aham Patradi Bhaktya Upahritam, gifted out of love, even though two bale leaves, bel patte do, couple of just couple of flowers, maybe one garland, maybe just a little water. Bhakti purvam prapitam, whatever is given to me out of love. Bhaktya upahritam, that upahara is given out of total devotion. Paravakti asnami grihnami. Asnami is bhojana paraka. But Madhusudana Saraswati will make a beautiful interpretation of it. We'll go there. Prayatatmanam means Shuddha Buddhehe. Now let's look at Madhusudana because he sort of makes a beautiful interpretation of it, and we will look at it right now. So what Madhusudana is saying is, he sort of doesn't do much hair splitting. He brings in a bit of drama to explain it, but let's look at it. Patram pushpam phalam toyam anyadava anayasa labhyam. Look at the beauty of Madhusudana Saraswati. He's saying, Bhagavan is saying that you do not have to struggle a lot to make me happy. I don't take much interest in the materials you offer. Is it good quality ghee? Is it a very good sari? Is it a big laddus offered in, the Tirupati Balaji, or the big number of items offered in Puri temple? Is God interested in that? Look at the Bhagavad Gita. He says, that's all for you. That's out of your devotion you're giving. That's a different story. What am I looking for? Your devotion. The material aspect, meaningless. Whatever you offer in complete devotion, I am very happy. So he's saying, Anaya salavadham, yat kinchit vastu, whatever you offer, whatever thing, yaha kaschidapi naro me mahyam, ananta mahavibhuti pataye. Who am I? Mahyam, who is that Bhagavan? Ananta mahavibhuti pataye, ananta mahavibhuti pati, yaha tasmai. Ananta Mahavibhuti Pataye Parameshwaraya, and I'm Parameshwara. My vibhutis, my grace is unlimited. Just imagine, once you endeavor me, I don't look at what you offer, but what I give you is a lot. And he will mention about Sudama. There is this story about, you also know that Lord Krishna once enters Draupadi's house. He loved her and called her Krishna. And he said, Krishna, I'm hungry. Can you give me some food? He says, yeah, but they were in that, that Vanavas. She didn't have anything. She had cooked some rice and some palak, some sag, some spinach. And there was just 3, 4 pieces of spinach leaves stuck in that bowl in which she had cooked. And he says, I want to just have, give me whatever you have. And he enters the kitchen and he picks up. And he takes that small piece of spinach and he says, oh my God, I'm full. That's another story which glorifies devotion. you know so Bhagavan doesn't require that patram pushpam phalam toyam. That story is a good example. That story from Mahabharata, good example of how God doesn't look for material wealth to be offered to him, even though some rich people do it. That's great, that's not a problem, except that Bhagavan is actually looking for paravakti. Mahyam anabhivutipate parameshwaraya bhaktya na vasudevat param asti kinchi. That is the devotion. There is nothing beyond Vasudeva, nothing beyond Parameshwara God. Iti buddhi purvakaya, if that is the understanding he has, that I am surrendering to the ultimate power on earth, pritya with love, prayachati gives it. Ishwaraya, that is, I am the Sarveshwara, Parameshwara. I am the Niyamaka, I control this whole universe. Bhrityavat upakalpayati, he sort of says, oh Lord, save me. As if he's a servant, because there are these Navada Bhaktis, right? Mat sattva अनास्पद द्रव्य भावात् सर्वस्यापि जगतो मयि एव अर्जितत्वात्. How can he actually give anything to me? Where from will bring it? This whole jungle, the gardens, the fruit bagans, everything, horticultural farms, gold, silver, whatever you pick up, it belongs to the Lord. This whole universe belongs to him. And therefore, he sort of is having that feeling of humility, saying, oh Lord, what do I give you? Everything belongs to you. Then he comes and gives. Okay, there is nothing which is, as he beautifully mentions that sentence, look at it, mat sattva, without my presence, mat sattva anaspada, without being touched by it, without having my grace, drabya bhava, there is no such object which is not touched by my grace. Sarvasyapi jagato maya eva arjitatvat. And everything is actually owned by whom? It's by me. Therefore, he has that humility. And he says, what should I give? He picks up a flower and gives it to me. Maybe a little water, maybe a couple of fruits, whatever, out of love. Ataha madhyam eva sarvam mahyam arpayati janaha. So it's all mine only. Like the baby offers the sari of the mother to the mother on his birthday, on her birthday. Similarly, you offer a flower which is mine. Tasya pritya prayachataha, of that fellow person who is sort of surrendering and showing his love for me, prayatatmanaha, who is doing that bhakti, that prayatna, that particular seva, suddha buddhehe, and he has that pure mind. He has no calculations. He's not a sakama bhakta, he's a para bhakta. He's a completely pure-hearted person. Oh Lord, what do you want? You know, they want, this Pandit will come in South India. What sankalpa? He says, no sankalpa. Nishkama sankalpa. Bhagavad Pityartham. That is the sankalpa. Then Bhagavan is very happy. Buddhehe tat patra puspade tuchhamapi. Even if very little is given to me, Vastu aham sarveshwara asnami. I consume it. I am Sarveshwara, Lord of this universe, happy with a couple of flowers, happy with a glass of water, happy with a small banana. Look at the greatness of the Lord. Asanavat pritya sikritya tripyami. Actually, Bhagavan doesn't eat anything, right? And he will mention about it. But he's talking about asnami means swikaram karomi. I just accept it. It's like you carry some fruits and biscuits and chocolates or dry fruits. If you go to any sannyasi or any head of an ashram, anything, you give it to him. I have seen that. I have tried that many times earlier. They just receive it. They accept it. You know what happens to what you give? They give it to someone else because actually their needs are very limited. They have a strict diet system. You give them chocolates or anything, what happens? They are very happy with you and they will keep it. You say, it's so beautiful. Then you say, Swamiji, you take it. He'll say, yeah, yeah, I will take it. Then he will keep it. And then there is a woman who comes with two children. They open it and distribute the chocolates. That's what they do. Genuinely good sannyasis. They don't take anything with them. And if there is a puja or bhandar or anything, that is distributed. Like, for example, you carry anything to Ramakrishna Mission on any of the celebration days, what happens to whatever you take? They take everything inside, they are all opened, and they are all distributed in the plates after the puja. When the prasada vantanam starts, your fruits are going somewhere. Nothing is kept behind, actually. So that is how it's dealt with. तस्य प्रीत्या प्रयच्छतः प्रयतात्मनः शुद्धबुद्धेः तत्पत्रपुष्पादि तुच्छमेव वस्तुम् अहं सर्वेश्वर अस्नामि असनवत् प्रीत्या स्वीकृत्य तृप्यामि. I'm happy. अत्र वाच्यस्य अत्यंत तिरस्काराद asana lakshitena svikara visheshana pritya atisai hetitvam vyajyate. You know, he's mentioning there is a particular lakshana vritti in the literature. He's saying atyanta tiraskara. So let's imagine that in there is something called lakshana vritti. Like for example, you say that lady is Ganga. Is she Ganga? She's not a river. She's a human being. Why are you saying she's Ganga? Because you are essentially saying she's a very virtuous woman. You are saying was Sher hai, he's a lion. You are basically referring to his bravery, isn't it? Similarly, the main meaning of that asnami, that particular thing, what is that vachyartha? Vachya, vachaka. Vachaka is that asnami. Vachya is bhojana. That is the artha, vachyartha. But Bhagavan is actually not eating. So vachyartha is atyartha. But Bhagavan is actually not eating. So vachyartha is atyanta tiraskrita. That is actually rejected. That is not the purpose of it. So I will not get into details because we will go in a different direction. Atyanta tiraskarat. So basically vachyartha is bhojana. Here that is not the meaning. What is the meaning here? Svikara. Bhagavan happily receives it, approves of your love, and says, wonderful, well done, how sweet. He's appreciating it. Skarad asana lakshitena. That is the that asana, that whatever is referred to by that word, what is the purpose? Refers to something else. Svikara. Svikara Visheshana, that is how you have to understand it. Pritti Atisaya Hetutam is extremely happy with you. That is what he is trying to explain. Vyajyate. Nahave deva asnanti asnanti na pivanti etad eva amritam drishtva tripyanti. So actually it is mentioned in many Puranas and Vedas and other things that gods actually don't eat anything because they don't have a sthula sarira. How will they eat? They don't have a physical body. So they don't have digestive system. What do? They just look at it. They have sukshma sarira. So after Naivedya, they just say, put your food, and the Pandit shows it to the Lord. Why? Because they just look at it. They have no physical body, they cannot eat it. So it's hot or cold. I mean, we also, I mean, in the Vaishnava parampara, there's a lot of beauty in their love. So if the kheer is very hot, and then they'll say, no, no, okay, muh jal jayega, you have to cool it a little, and it shouldn't be very spicy because Navakishora Krishna is very delicate. So he's offered a lot of cream and butter and milk and sweets. Not very, hot food, not very spicy food. He's not offered these things. He's very delicate. That is the emotional aspect of devotionalism. That is a game going on in the minds of the devotee. And great. It's beautiful. It's romantic. And there is a lot of charm in this whole thing. But that is not the Paramarthika Satya. The Paramarthika Satya is Nabakishwara Krishna doesn't taste anything. He just looks at it. That's it. And he appreciates your love. He looks at your heart, nothing else. That is what he's saying. So there is a Shruti Vakya, Naha Vai Deva Asnanti, the gods don't take anything. Na Pivanti, they don't drink. Tad Deva Amritam Drishtva Tripyanti. These gods just look at Amrita and they are happy. Iti Shrutehe. Kasmat tucham api tad asnami. Whatever is little, that also I take. Yasmat. Why? Bhaktya aprahitam. Because this is gifted to me out of a lot of love on your part. Bhaktya pritya samarpitam. Because you are giving it to you. Samarpana is completely devotional. That therefore Bhagavan is happy. Tena pritya samarpanam mat svikara nimittam ityarthaha. So whatever you offer to the Lord with a lot of love, that is svikara nimittaka. So what actually makes him happy? Not the content of the prasadam on your plate. What makes him happy? The content in your heart. How much loving you are towards him. यत्र भक्त्या प्रयच्छति इत्युक्तः पुनर्भक्ति उपहृतम् इति वदन् अभक्तस्य ब्राह्मणत्व तपस्वितादि मत स्वीकार निमित्तं न भवति इति परिसंख्यां सूचयति. Now there is a Mimamsa vichara coming. Let's look at it, what he's saying. This particular casting I was mentioning. There is something called that different kind of vidhis in Mimamsa Darshana. When we do maybe Mimamsa Parivasa sometime, any of you is interested later on. So there is something called Utpatti Vidhi, Anga Vidhi, Guna Vidhi, Prayoga Vidhi, Viniyoga Vidhi, all these are there. So there is something called Parishankhya Vidhi. Parishankhya Vidhi is what? There are two things available, two options in the text. Then you reject one, you take another meaning of it. That is called Parishankhya. So when Bali was attacked by Rama and he was killed, and then there is an argument between Bali and Sri Ramachandra. Bali says that the Shastra says Pancha Pancha Nakha Vakhya. So there are five kinds of animals who have five nails. They are Vakhya. Monkey is not mentioned there. I'm a monkey. Why did you kill me? How could you kill me? So what are the animals you can kill for food? It mentions those animals are, say, for example, I think crocodile, and similarly another five I don't remember, but I think crocodile is one of them. So these are the animals with five nails which are mentioned as bhaksha. Why are you killing me? Now there will be a debate. Are you supposed to eat these five panchanakha, the animals with five nails? Are you going to eat them? No, no, that is not the purpose of this text. Why? They are ragataha praktaha. If you want, you are a meat eater, you will kill and eat. Why Veda has to prescribe it? The purpose of Veda is not to say that you eat these five kinds of animals which are mentioned there, and these animals are five nails. That is not the purpose of it. The Veda says that you should not eat or kill animals which are not mentioned in this. So that is Parishankhya Vidhi. So, so you do not do that. There's Vyavrit, you are prevented from killing others. That is what is basically hinted in this particular thing. So when he's saying here that Vadan avaktasya brahmanatva tapasvityadi matsvikara nimittam na bhavati. So there is a great tapasvi, okay, or there is a great brahmana, son of a great priest or a great Sanskrit scholar, but he's not a devotee. He has no devotion. Will I take food for him, food from his hands or her hands? Bhagavan says no. If he's not a bhakta, whether he is the son of a prime minister or a president or the head of Puri temple or Tirupati Balaji temple, I don't care at all. I have no interest in that son of the greatest Brahmin on earth, the greatest Sanskrit scholar on earth, or that tapasvi. He may be the greatest yogi, but he has no devotion. I'm not interested in him. He is doing a lot of Kriya Yoga. He can do all the asanas. He can sit in meditation for 26 days. I'm not interested. Let him do the meditation. Yoga Sutra says, Ishvara Praninahanat Va. He can go in that long route, but he may not reach me ultimately. He has to be, that grace is glorifying here. He has to have that particular Ishvara Pranidhana. He has to have that surrender to me. That bhakti, paravakti is very important. So I'm not interested. That is the Parishankhya Vidhi is saying. So what is glorified here and what is rejected? Summarily, this particular verse is throwing away the whole social gauntlet that the socially privileged guys, in all temples, the relatives of the priests and all have very quick access to the temple. Bhagavan is going to look at them? Absolutely not. This verse says he's only interested in his true devotees. His true devotees may be belonging to any caste. He may offer anything. Bhagavan will be desperate to take that from that particular devotee. So this is a beautiful thing. परिसंख्या सूचयति श्रीदाम ब्राह्मणानीत तण्डुलकनभक्षण वत् प्रीति विशेष प्रतिबद्ध भक्ष्याभक्ष्य विज्ञान वालो इव मात्रादि अर्पितं पत्र पुष्पादि भक्तार्पितं साक्षाद एव भक्ष्यामि इति वा. There is another interpretation he's giving. Now Sudama carried with him what? Some fried rice, right? Bhuja, something he was carrying. And he went to Krishna, his childhood friend, and he offered that fried rice. Maybe Moody, I don't know, it's maybe Murmura. He offered something. And he takes it and he immediately puts it in his mouth. The moment he puts it in his mouth, his house and everything turns into gold and jewelry and diamond, everything, isn't it? That's what the story we have read. So he's saying Sri Dama. Sri Dama is Sudama here. Sri Dama Brahmananita. He brings in some tandula kana, some khuda, that is. that broken rice he brings. Kanabhakshana vat priti vishesa pratibadha. Because of so much of blind love he has for his devotees, he is blinded by that love. So he doesn't have bhaksha vaksha vijnana. What is to be consumed, what is not to be consumed, he is not bothered. He is overwhelmed by the love of his devotee. Therefore, if the devotee offers him two leaves, or flowers, or water, or sugar, kuch bhi, he is happy with it. Bala iva matradi arpitam. So almost like a baby on the lap of the mother. Mother gives, it's a poor lady. So what does she give? She puts some chuda in water, and then she, sort of makes a paste of it. Puts a bit of jaggery, and maybe half a spoon of ghee or something she makes, and then puts that particular thing in the baby's mouth. She's a poor lady. Sometimes even that she may not have. She gives whatever little she has. Baby is desperate. Baby is happy. Same way, Bhagavan is extremely happy by the offerings of the devotee. Sakshadeva bhakhyayava tena bhakti eva mat paritosha nimittam. What can make me satisfied? What makes me happy? What makes me paritushta? Bhakti eva. न तो देवतान देवतांतरवत बलि उपहारादि बहुवित्तव्य आयास साध्यम. What he had mentioned in the earlier thing, those who worship anya devatas, giving bali and all kinds of upaharas, namaskara, all sorts of offerings they give as per the karma kanda things. You have to give this particular thing, so much of ghee, so much of kalasa, nariyal, all that you offer. The karma kanda. Bhagavan is saying, I'm not interested in anything. What am I interested in? Devotion, love. That's it. Bhakt and Bhagavan are together. So, like Anya Devatas, the demigods, whom dissociating from me you get lost in these details, my devotee comes back to me and I don't expect anything. I just want his love and attention. Kinchidasi devatantaram apahaya mamaiva bhaja iti abhipraya. Therefore, my boy, don't bhajet iti abhipraya. So don't waste your time doing all these karma kandas and inviting priests and giving them heavy dakshinas and doing a lot of karma kandas, navagraha pujas and chandi pathas and everything. You're a fool. Don't do it. If you're doing it, fine. I don't have any objection. But come back to me. That's what Bhagavan says. Okay. And then he's saying kidrisam te bhajanam tadaha. Okay, okay. I'll come to you. But then how to propitiate it? Patra Pushpa, the offering part is clear. Then how do I make you happy? Any more advice? Bhagavan says, yes, I have a crucial advice to make. And that crucial advice is like this. He says, Yat korosi yadasnasi, yat juhosi dadasi yate, yat tapasyasi kaunteya, tat kurushva madarpanam, yat koroshi. Now here, whatever we are doing, laukika or vaidika, nitya or naimitika, sacrifice everything to me. So your life becomes a yajna. He has already mentioned that earlier, isn't it? The whole life is a yajna. Some people do pranayama, that is the yajna. Different kinds of yajnas he has already, japa yajna he has already mentioned, he will again mention in future. So here he's saying yad koroshi, whatever you do, you are doing a job, you are building a house, you are taking care of your children, you are showing love to your wife, remember me, you're doing it for me. You see yourself as my servant. Your wife is also my child. You imagine as if you are loving my daughter. Imagine, you will feel very good if you can manage to do like that. You will have a wonderful relationship. So he's saying, Yat korosi, yad asnasi, whatever food you are taking, you see, you are taking it for me. That means what? Take my name, offer it to me, and take it. Yad juhosi, whatever you are doing, nitya naimitika karmas, agnihotradi, whatever rituals you are doing it for me. You're doing it for Sombar, Lord Shiva, or Hanuman, or Devi. Always remember Parameshwara, Lord Krishna. Either with name and form or you Lord Shiva, everything is Krishna only. Everything is Vasudeva. That's Parameshwara. It's not that Vasudi Vadaka or Vasudeva is, that Yasoda Santan. We are not talking about that. We're talking about the ultimate Parameshwara here. Yad Yad Juhosi Dadasi Yat, whatever dana karya you are doing, like you are doing some charity work. You keep saying Krishna Arpanamastu. Yat tapasyasi, maybe some mistakes you have done. Therefore, you are doing some vratas. You are doing shavan, like you are not eating after sunset during shavan. Whatever you are doing, you say Krishna Arpanamastu. Kaunteya, hey Kaunteya. Again, he's reminding you. Don't forget, you are capable of doing it. Why? Because you are my cousin brother. Tat Purushva, that do it. Madar Panam, surrender to me. Earlier also he had said that you do Nishkama Karma and what? Ishvara Arapana Buddhya. And then what I will do to you? You be Niryoga Kshema. He had advised earlier. And then what promise he makes? I will be Yoga Kshema Vahamyaham. I will take care of what you have. I'll maintain it. What you don't have, I'll give it. What you have, that bhakti, that connection with me, I'll protect it. What I'll give you, moksha. I'll give you atmajnana. That is how he's mentioning. Now, we have time to finish this. Yato evam ato yat karoshi swataha praptam yat asnasi. Whatever comes to you, whatever you're eating, yat juhoshi havanam nivartayasi. Whatever you are doing, whatever offerings you are doing. Srotam smartam ba. There are srota yajnas, there are smarta yajnas. Yad dadasi, whatever prayachasi, whatever you are doing, dana, brahmanadibhyo, hiranya, anna, adyadi. Whether you are giving some ghee, some rice on a particular Shraddha Divasa, Pitru Shraddha Divasa, or Mahalaya, whatever, Hiranya, gold, whatever. Yat tapasyasi, tapasyarati, whatever sadhanas you are doing, you're doing pranayama. You do it in the end, you say Krishna Arpanamastu. Bhagavad Gita, why are we saying Gurubhyo Namaha? Why you are taking Vasudeva's name? This satsanga also we are offering to Lord Krishna, isn't it? We are doing it for him. Tapasi Kaunteya Tat Kurusho, do that, Madarpanam, Mat Samarpanam, surrender to me. And then just quickly, we have still 5 minutes and we'll be able to wind up this particular. So in Yat Koroshi Sastrad Ritepi Ragat Praptam Gamanadi Yas Asnasi Swayam Trityartham Karma Siddhyartham Va. So he is now Madhusudana will bring in some academic things. We'll try to wind it up. Yat Kuroshi, whatever you're doing, either Sastra Vihita or a Laukika for your secular duties. You're doing a job, you're traveling, whatever you're doing. So Sastra Drihitepi, without any Sastra Vidhi, Raga Praptam, because of your own desire you're doing it. Yad Asnasi, whatever you're eating, you want to have a chow mein, you want to have an ice cream, have it, we're stopping you. But remember me. Swayam Triptyartham, you're doing it for yourself. But the moment you remember me, when you're eating it, you are remembering Lord Krishna in you. The Vedanta starts working in you. That is what Bhagavan is saying. Karma Siddhyartham ba tatha juhosi yad juhosi sastra valat nityam agnihotradi homam nivartai. Whatever nitya naimitika homas you are doing, maybe because there's a special puja, Swanakshetra Brata because of your son or something, or you're doing any other puja. Naimittika is for a special purpose and nitya is what you do every day. So the smarta sarva homa upalakshanam etat. So when Jat Juhosi, all the ritual karma kandas are covered here. Tatha yad dadasi, whatever you are doing danam, what he's elaborating. Atiti brahmanadi bhyo arna hiranyadi. So, for example, some guests have come home. So, you're offering them milk and biscuits. Or maybe some poor person knocks at your door and you're giving him some bread and butter. Whatever you're doing, do it. Krishna Arpanamastu. Tatha yat tapasyasi. Whatever sadhana you're doing. Pratisambasara. Pratisambhasaram ajnata pramadika papa nibrita. A lot of people do some vratas every year because without knowing, he must have done a lot of papas. Just for example, I'll give you one very bad experience I had. There was a mouse trap I had put, and I put it. And next morning I had a tour, so early morning 3 o'clock I left, and I had kept the mouse trap open. What used to happen is that I'll catch that mouse, I'll go and leave it in a garden. I early morning left. When I came back after 5 days, I found that there was a rat trapped inside it, but it had died of hunger, and that rat trap had moved almost 1 meter, so it must have really undergone a lot of pain, isn't it? So I was devastated with a sense of guilt. Don't you think it's great, Papa? It's a great Papa. You sort of starved an animal to death Because what? Because of this lack of attention to the details. Why did you use a mousetrap? You should never leave a mousetrap open when you're leaving your house. You have to look after all these things because otherwise, a lot of deaths and a lot of harm happens. So I felt terribly down for some time. It happened 7, 8, 10 years back, and I lived alone when I worked, so I had a lot of tour programs. So I was so devastated that I had killed a rat because of my carelessness. I had not, I didn't. I should have looked at the mousetrap, but it didn't strike me early morning, 3 o'clock. Taxi is there. I have to rush to the airport. I did, and I forgot about it. Then one rat has got killed. So what happens is for this, every you should do some prayashita every year, Shastra says. These are pramadika papas for which you may be doing it without knowing it. So you do some tapa and dana, do some fasting. That is what the Shastra says. Chandrayanadi charasi ushrankala prabhutti nirasaya. In order to sort of make your mind more peaceful, sarira indriya sanghatam sanyamayasi itiva. So you try to control your body by fasting during Navaratras and all other periods. Etacha sarveshang nitya naimittika karmanam upalachanam. So whatever sadhanas you are doing, yat tapasyasi, all these vratas and upasanas you are doing, say Krishna Pranamastu, oh Lord save me, I'm sorry I have done this papa. तेन यत्तव प्राणी स्वभाव वसाद विनापि शास्त्रम अवसंभावी गमन असनादि यच्च शास्त्र वसाद अवसंभावी होमदानादि हे कौंत्य तत्सर्वं लौकिकं वैदिकं च कर्माणि ओके कर्मा येन एव निमित्तेन क्रियमाणं मदर्पणं मयि arpitam yatha syat tatha kurushva. So there are two possibilities of any kind of work we are doing. Either it is prescribed in the Shastras, that's why you are doing it, or we are doing it lokika karmas. There are no Shastra vidhana. We are doing it for a job or for kind. If somebody gives a phone call, you have to send some money, right? No Shastra says that you have to send some money, an extra money, because somebody is marrying a daughter. You have to send some gift, a relative, but he's a poor relative. So you, instead of sending a gift, you send some cash so that it's a contribution for organizing the marriage. There is no Shastra Vidhana. You're doing it, your ethical, moral call, right? So all these, end of the day, surrendered to me. Very briefly, this is the meaning. Okay, so there is a particular thing, Puruswa. Puruswa, he's saying. So here he's saying Atmanai Padena. So there are two kinds of dhatus or verbs in Sanskrit, Atmanepadi and Parasmepadi. Parasmepadi is meant for someone else. So pachati pachate. Pachati means he's cooking for someone else. Pachati means for himself. So Purushva, you are doing it actually for yourself. So this Atmanepadi kind of which is used is saying Samarpaka Nishtam Eva. So this work, this Mad Samarpanam Purushva, you do it for me. But by doing it for me, you know what? You are remembering Lord Krishna. And who are you? You're not different from me. So by surrendering to me, you are actually benefiting yourself. Okay, so whatever we are offering to God, it's for ourselves only. Samarpana phalam na tu mai kinchit iti darsayati. Nothing comes to me. Whatever samarpana you're doing, it's for your own purification. And this is a great takeaway point, by the way, of today. So please remember this. All your bhakti is for your own purification. This is for ourselves. Abasambhavinam karmanam mayi paramaguru samarpanam eva madbhajanam natu tadartham kritik vyaparaha kaschid kartavya iti abhiprayah. That means whatever you are doing, which you are not being able to surrender to me, there's nothing that you have to look for opportunities to do. Everything is meant for me, and everything that you are thinking is meant for me is actually meant for you, for purifying you, for benefiting you spiritually. Please keep that in your mind. So we'll stop here today. Any questions you can ask? Meanwhile, I'm sort of switching off YouTube. Yeah.